Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Welcome to this UN Food System Summit affiliated session hosted by IFDC and Malnutrition Matters. This session is entitled Economic Empowerment of Women to Combat Malnutrition. And I'm happy to have with me today Hart Jansson, the president of Malnutrition Matters, and Caroline Sage, who's the Business Development Associate at IFDC. We have a quick agenda today, about 50 minutes, although nothing is stopping us from going a little longer than that besides our own schedules. So we'll have some quick introductions of IFDC, Malnutrition Matters, and we'll go into a short video about the technology that is featured today, SoyaKit. And then Hart and Caroline will also discuss more specific things related to how this technology is empowering and impacting the lives of rural women. And then we will have about 20 minutes of time for questions and answers. So please use the question and answer Q&A box to send in your questions as you have them. And then we will divvy those out when the time comes. Other housekeeping, we will have some resources available that will be sent automatically to your email tomorrow, as well as the recording of this session. So please don't take notes unless you really want to. We want you to be engaged and to be having good questions so that we can all benefit from this discussion. Thanks again for joining. My name is James Thigpen, Head of Communications at IFDC. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Hart.
Thanks very much, James. I'm very excited to be co-presenting with the IFDC 2Scale team. Malnutrition Matters has been empowering women and youth entrepreneurs with small-scale soy foods technology and business skills for over 20 years. I have been with Malnutrition Matters for 19 of those years. As a smaller NGO, it's challenging to find the right opportunities to scale up our latest successful innovation, the SoyaKit. But we are finding those opportunities with the 2Scale team. Our presentation today focuses primarily on the SoyaKit, which has a capacity of 7 liters per hour. But we also provide medium-scale soy processing equipment that can produce up to 80 liters an hour of soy foods like soy milk or soy yogurt. Malnutrition Matters, or MM, experience involves entrepreneurs in rural and village environments. MM has worked with numerous partners from the World Bank and the African Development Bank and larger international NGOs, but also with smaller faith-based humanitarian groups. In addition to environmentally friendly food processing, we provide training to entrepreneurs in critical small business skills. You can go to the next slide. I would also like to mention that MM is part of cohort 1 in the Food System Game Changers Lab, which is developing solutions for the transformation of the food system leading up to the Food System Summit in September. Cohort 1 is focused on empowering women and youth. So a shout out to my cohort 1 team and to the 22 other cohorts who are developing food system transformation solutions. We have implemented 4 SoyaKit projects in 4 different countries to date, with a total of over 2,000 entrepreneurs empowered. We have succeeded in increasing incomes for entrepreneurs, be they smallholder farmers or landless. Our latest project in Western Kenya is being implemented together with 2Scale. Our initial SoyaKit experience in Western Kenya reinforces our observation of strong demand for various soy foods that we have seen in previous projects there, primarily soy milk and soy yogurt, with near instant profitability of the micro enterprises that we're helping to establish. Thank you.
Thanks, Hart. Hello, everyone. So IFDC is an independent nonprofit organization that aims to develop agriculture from the ground up. Our work combines innovative research, market systems development, and strategic partnerships to spread sustainable agricultural solutions for improved soil health, food security, and livelihoods around the world. In 2020, IFDC created significant impact in the communities we work with. This includes establishing more than 14,000 demonstration plots, training over 267,000 farmers, which includes 46% women, working in over 800 public-private partnerships, and creating thousands of new jobs while also focusing on environmental sustainability. So IFDC is an implementer of the incubator program 2Scale, which stands for Toward Sustainable Clusters in Agribusiness through Learning and Entrepreneurship. 2Scale is one of the largest incubators and accelerators of inclusive agribusiness in sub-Saharan Africa. And through supporting agribusiness clusters, 2Scale is developing products and markets for local consumers at the base of the pyramid. 2Scale has had impressive accomplishments. 53 public-private partnerships have been developed. Over 627,000 farmers in 9 countries have been directly involved in partnerships, and over 60 million euros have been leveraged by the private sector. And with Malnutrition Matters, IFDC and 2Scale have launched the SoyaKit to 50 female entrepreneurs in Western Kenya, serving 3,000 base of the pyramid consumers with goals to improve the scalability. So now we're going to watch a short video on the SoyaKit.
Kumbali anawa ndi masamalira ndine kuchokera nthemena amayata ngumwani ndi amakhandini mpaka lero. Business yanga ya soya inayamba Machi pakati ndithu pa mwezi wa Machi.
Guy.
Business imene ndizoona yasinthadi moyo wanga chifukwa anthu amene akundidziwa poyamba amene ndinalili ineyo poyamba ndisanayambe kupanga mkaka wa soya umeneyo ndinali munthu oti omvetsa chisoni. Zambiri zimandisowa pakhomo panga pano, sowa amene za mwina ngati zinthu zoti ana zogwiritsa ntchito ku sukulu makope mazolembera zimandisowa. Komano ntambo panga mkaka umenewu wa soya nkumagulitsa panopo ndimakwanitsa kulipirira mwana wanga sukulu. Winayo poyamba anali pa ground popa achuzira primary school, panopo namuchotsa pamenepo amaphunzira ku private ina yake konkuno kumusi uko.
Soy milk is an excellent source of protein. And it's easily digestible, it's palatable to women, so most people will not object to drinking it or to using it in other forms, to cooking with it. And so it's a great way to get protein at a relatively low cost, I think is the key. It's a low-cost source of protein that otherwise would not be available.
The SoyaKit comes in a large bin, which is also useful for bean storage and soaking, and for wash-up of the system. The main components are the heat retention cooking bag, which saves more than 50% of fuel costs, a manual grinder, a food-grade plastic pail, an 8-liter stainless steel pot, a yogurt thermometer, insulated rubber gloves, and 3 commercial nylon filter bags. Besides these specialized items, a few more common but necessary kitchen components are also included. The process starts with about half a kilo of dry soybeans per batch, soaked overnight. The soaked beans are ground into a mash and then added to 4 liters of water and heated to boiling. Then this slurry is put into the heat retention cooking bag and cooked for 20 minutes. If making porridge, about half a kilo of maize or other flour can be added to the process with an extra liter of water. Without need for filtration, about 7 liters of soy blended porridge is made in each batch. For soy milk and other foods, the soy fiber called okara is first filtered and pressed out to yield about 3.5 liters of soy milk. This in turn can be processed into 3.5 liters of yogurt or about 600 grams of tofu.
Nanga ndizone chawose ndikuchokera mudzi mwa Chambakata tiye chimutu dala mwa denje. Bizinesi yanka kwa soya ndinayamba pa 3 Marichi 2019. Niyo choyambirira anandipeza makesowekazi amalemba mayina m'makomo. Kenako atandilemba ndinambopezeka m'magulu a silk. Magulu mene muja munapezeka kuti ndinasankhidwa nawo kuti ndikapange nawo maphunziro anthu 30 kupanga mkaka wa soya.
Pankaka umene chimene timaoda soya, makala, ndi sugar, mchele ndi zimene timagula kuti tipange mkaka umene. Mkaka umene ndimagulitsa makasitomala anga ndili nawo ochulukirapo ndithu. Chifukwa pena ndimapezeka zonena kuti mkaka uja umatha makasitomala ena mwina sanakafikire. Pa average mmene ndimapangira mkakawo ndikhuza kuti pa tsiku ndimapanga ndalama 3.5.
These rural women in northern Ghana are being trained on the use of the SoyaKit. They will be able to make a range of soy foods like milk, yogurt, and tofu while consuming less than 50% of the normal fuel by using the heat retention cooking bag. A good daily profit is achieved for the various types of foods. Production cost does not include labor. Retail prices also depend on competition and other local conditions.
We have made a very, very huge difference in the lives of people in the communities that we have distributed the soy kits. We have women and the men entrepreneurs, but a lot of them are women because we want to empower the women. So the introduction of soy milk in the communities have enabled so many people to be aware that you can also consume nutritious milk from soy. So many people are now aware. They are consuming soy milk. They are getting money through processing of soy milk as a business. The nutrition status of many people, including women and children, is really improving in the community by consuming this nutritious milk.
Nditayamba mkaka wa soya business imene pa 3 Marichi ndikuona kuti zinthu zasintha bwino kubasi chifukwa panali zinthu zambiri zimene zinazo ndivuta chifukwa amene ndimayimira nyumbayi ndine ndekha timakhala mu anthu 6 ndinali munthu one kuti ananga sukulu inali walephera ena adalephera kumene koma panopa ndimatha kukwaniritsa kuti ananga adye komanso anaja ndapangire ndagwiretu mabuku kuti nthawi imene azikayamba sukulu akhale ntakozeketseratu china chilichonse.
All right, I'm going to just go over a few of the key impacts of the SoyaKit. So I think, as you saw in the video, one of the key impacts is higher income for the women entrepreneurs and high protein food made available at a low retail price. Each entrepreneur spending a total of 5 or 6 hours both producing and selling can make and sell soy foods with the protein equivalent to 70 eggs per day. When women have increased income, their children are better fed and better educated, and they have a stronger influence on household and community decision-making. Also, these entrepreneurs typically spend most of their income immediately, which creates a very strong economic multiplier effect. The SoyaKit can be cost-effectively deployed with a 10-to-1 return on income generated versus total project expenditure. Next slide, please. You saw two of the entrepreneurs from Malawi relate their experience in the video. Here are two examples of success in Kenya. Nancy Kasaka, for example, has quadrupled her income by selling soy milk in her town of Webuye in Western Kenya, producing a steady high income for the past 12 months running. Marisa Opio was trained in June of this year, and she is selling drinkable yogurt with a very good profit after only a couple of weeks of operation. Our experience with 2Scale and their local partner Fasud in Western Kenya has been very positive. Next slide, please. So we saw this in the video, just a few key points. So you can make a 3.5 liter batch of base soy milk in half an hour. And again, that can be used to make a variety of foods. The key points are no electricity is required and little other fuel is required because of the heat retention cooking bag is used. The slurry of ground soybeans and water needs only to be brought to the boiling point and then placed in the heat retention cooking bag, where it continues to cook without fuel for 20 minutes. A variety of high quality products can be made in a simple, quick, reliable process with food grade equipment that produces safe and tasty food with local flavoring such as lemongrass or rose water could be used, as well as commercial flavorings. And there's no danger of disease transmission as there can be with animal proteins such as eggs, dairy, and meat. Next slide, please. So why does it work? Soybeans are widely available in Africa at a relatively low cost that enables profitability. Few other inputs are needed. Those include sugar and flavoring. We have a very short value chain with no profit leakage to outside interests. The SoyaKit offers flexibility in terms of hours of production, when the production is done, early morning, afternoon, at night to make yogurt, to incubate yogurt overnight for sale in the morning. So it offers a lot of different opportunities and different types of products. The demand for nutritious, high protein foods is growing, but discretionary income may not be. The diversity of products that can be made and the variety of flavorings guarantees that some products will find high demand in any community. Relatively high and relatively instant and constant profits are attractive. Soybeans can be stored for over a year in typical ambient African conditions with no degradation of nutritional value. Next slide, please. So the typical project rollout includes co-design of the program with our partner in the context of the specific local geography, cultures and tribes, and the current state of gender equity. Entrepreneurs are chosen with criteria to identify the most motivated would-be entrepreneurs. Criteria include self-selection. When we make apparent that there is a payment schedule for the SoyaKit, those expecting a handout program must be winnowed out. Only hard workers need apply. Training of trainers is carried out with our comprehensive and pictorial trainer's guide. The trainers are supervised at their initial entrepreneur training sessions. Half of the training time is spent on food-based micro-enterprise business skills. Each entrepreneur receives a highly pictorial user's guide, which cues the entrepreneur to the proper steps to make various soy foods, regardless of their language or literacy. Phone-based data collection is used whenever possible. Peer-to-peer networking and champion support mechanisms are established with or without digital tools, depending on the environment. Identification of issues and support of the entrepreneurs is most important in the first few months. Next slide, please. Entrepreneur selection is a critical process. Applicants must be made aware that the SoyaKit opportunity is successful only for those consistently willing to put in hard work. Also, a contract with the entrepreneurs will stipulate that the SoyaKit can be reclaimed if production levels are too low. Effective business training and tools are needed to properly equip the entrepreneurs. Efficient data collection will ensure timely identification of issues and keep implementation cost-effective. Champions who are most successful are very effective at teaching and inspiring those who are less successful. Access to saving and loans clubs or equivalent financial services enables the entrepreneurs to save some of their profits for general resilience and also for bulk purchase of inputs to maximize their profits. Next slide, please. We intend to maximize the ease and cost effectiveness of scaling the SoyaKit initiative. We are defining digital tools that will both lower the cost and increase the effectiveness of staff-based and peer-to-peer entrepreneur support. We are developing remote training and refresher modules to assist trainers in remote areas to provide quality training. We are seeking out low-interest financing that can work with simple fintech tools to allow women to repay loans digitally in a direct fashion. This will dramatically reduce or eliminate the need for field reps on behalf of the financing entity. In essence, a shorter value chain and broader reach. Larger skilled partners, such as IFDC and 2Scale, are helping us to achieve these goals. Thank you.
So yeah, as I introduced a little earlier, 2Scale uses a market systems approach to use partnerships to create networks and linkages that build capacity and lead to inclusive business. 2Scale works with business champions who are either entrepreneurial producer organizations or local SMEs that trade or process farmers' products. By working with inclusive agribusiness champions, we can support the development of agribusiness clusters and their integration into competitive value chains and markets that target base of the pyramid consumers. These business champions are diverse, and 2Scale helps to build networks that overcome their diverse challenges. 2Scale also focuses on gender mainstreaming, meaning that it works to achieve gender equality in all areas of work, from project planning to implementation to monitoring and evaluation. The goal is for at least 50% of all farmers and enterprises involved to be female or women-led, but the aim is really to go beyond just including a set number of women and really reach, benefit, and empower women to be informed strategic business decision makers. The SoyaKit's a great example of how we can improve the economic empowerment of women throughout a market system. With the SoyaKit, 2Scale provides business training and services to soy agribusiness clusters and small and medium-sized enterprises. The SoyaKit entrepreneurs can then provide a quality product to SMEs that offer nutritious food to low-income consumers. As shown in this diagram, 2Scale provides training to the entrepreneurs and SMEs while also creating and strengthening linkages between smallholder soybean farmers, SoyaKit processors, cooperatives, and SMEs, ultimately leading to consumers purchasing the processed, nutritious soy food products. 2Scale has shown that this method of inclusive business, farmers and other entrepreneurs working together for mutual benefit, is a practical and effective development approach. Thanks for listening, everyone. We're open to some questions now.
All right, thanks so much, Hart and Caroline, for that. We've had a few questions come in, and so we will start with those now. I will toss them to one of you two, and we'll go from there. We'll have about 20 minutes, so participants, if you have any more questions, please put them into the Q&A box. It's easier for us to see them there than if you put them in the chat. So there is a little bit of a difference there. So just some housekeeping. If you think of some questions, we've got about 20 minutes here. So let's get started. One of the first questions for you, Hart, I think that this is an interesting one. The participant writes, I would like to learn how you manage to have the women take control of the commodity. From where this person is writing from, the common practice is that when a commodity becomes available economically, the men mostly take over control. Is that something you could speak to for a minute, Hart?
Sure. Again, the beauty of the SoyaKit initiative is that it enables either smallholder farmers who can grow soybeans themselves, or people who have no land that don't have the ability to cultivate crops to be successful. So an entrepreneur, a woman entrepreneur, can simply buy soybeans on the open market. And our economic models, allow for a good profit to be made, even when the soybeans cost about 60 cents a kilo. Often they can be purchased for half that price. It depends on the season. So any entrepreneur can purchase the soybeans in the open market. And might there be, middlemen who are making profit off those soybeans? Yes, that could be the case. But again, the entrepreneur can make a good profit by purchasing soybean at the retail level. And of course, those profits can be increased if the entrepreneur can buy the soybeans in bulk at a wholesale price, thereby maximizing their profit. But the woman entrepreneur remains in control of her own business and her own destiny.
Great. Another question I'm seeing a lot here is maybe another cultural question about the difference between soy milk and cow's milk. How do you, is that an issue that you are presented with, and how much you overcome that?
Well, I'll take a first crack at that. Yes, it's a common question. So the main differences between soy milk and cow's milk: soy milk doesn't have cholesterol, and soy milk also doesn't have lactose. So for people who are looking for healthy protein alternative, again, the lack of cholesterol is a plus. And also we have in Africa and Asian countries, approximately 1/3 of the population is lactose intolerant. So it's handy to have a protein alternative that doesn't contain the lactose. Now we have found adults who have been drinking dairy milk and are used to the dairy milk, there is a taste difference between dairy milk and the soy milk. Again, this can be overcome to a degree with flavoring. And certainly if we have a soy yogurt product being made, it's very, very similar to dairy yogurt. But one important thing I would point out is that soy milk has protein that is equivalent to dairy milk in terms of the amino acid profile. The World Health Organization has stated that soy foods are the only plant-based food that have amino acid profile equivalent to milk, eggs, and meat. So I hope that answers most of the questions on that side, but I'm happy to elaborate further if people have other questions.
I think that's good. And, as part of this, when you're looking to scale up into new countries and communities, and this is something you mentioned briefly, what is kind of the plan to continue scaling up? Maybe what's the next step for the SoyaKit at this time?
Well, so Malnutrition Matters does not have offices outside of our home base in Canada. We work with local partners. We have local trainers in various African countries that can provide services directly in a cost-effective way. So we are dependent on our local partners for scaling up. We strive to provide high quality food grade equipment at lowest cost. The cooking bag that you saw in the videos, we are currently purchasing from the Wonder Bag company, which fabricates those cooking bags in South Africa and Uganda. We always look for opportunities for more local input, but we typically find, for example, the stainless steel pot, the manual grinder, and the food grade bucket, that it is less expensive to source that directly from overseas rather than buying it locally. The local merchants are also sourcing their products overseas and adding a larger markup. But we're open to any manner of lowering the cost of the equipment and making the supply more local.
Great. You know, one thing that's especially important as we're talking about food systems, and we have talked about the nutritional benefits of soy here, and especially in relation to other proteins and the development and the market that's here. You know, one thing that's often talked about is micronutrients or fortifying foods during the processing of them. Is that something that Malnutrition Matters is looking into, or is that a possibility for the SoyaKit?
So yeah, Malnutrition Matters, we have had projects where we have fortified the soy milk with a bulk micronutrient mix. And I would suggest that form of fortification is the lowest cost method of multiple micronutrient fortification. We achieved it, including all transport logistic costs. We were able to provide one dose of micronutrients in the milk for less than ½ cent per dose, and I'm quite confident we could achieve that as well in the future. So it's a very simple matter, because we have a liquid food. It's very easy to get a homogeneous distribution of the micronutrients from the bulk mix, which is much more difficult to achieve with solid foods like flour or other commodities, where you need special mixing equipment. This one, you simply drop it into the milk, give it a couple of stirs, and the fortification is done. So we're happy to work with any organizations that are focused on micronutrient fortification or distribution.
Great, thank you. One question here I want to address is we discussed the short value chain of the SoyaKit, and it's being effective within communities and in the sharing and providing for those nutritious meals. One question is, does it work as effectively in both rural and peri-urban areas. And part of this question is also in terms of income generated between, in contrast of those two areas.
My experience, yes, we have worked with entrepreneurs who are in like large towns or peri-urban areas, and if anything, the opportunity is greater. Prices in urban areas tend to be higher for nutritious foods, and you have a higher density of addressable consumers. So we've seen that if anything, the incomes in the peri-urban areas are higher than in the rural areas, and the market demand is about the same as far as a percentage of the addressable market. There are typically more options available to people in the urban markets, but again, they're usually more expensive alternatives. So the soy foods are attractive because of their lower price.
And one question kind of related to both of these, both of that question and the previous question about the fortification. Of course, you have the option to use biofortified soybeans or that have been agronomically fortified. Is that part of when you are working with women? Of course, they can choose where they purchase their soybeans, but is that something that you would look at to encourage?
Typically, the soybeans that are available in African markets are non-GMO, but there are a number of programs active in Africa where various varieties of soybeans are being cultivated and tested. Different varieties of soybeans will have higher levels of oil or protein. Virtually any variety of soybean makes a good soy milk. I mean, in the ideal circumstance, it's the higher protein varieties that make the absolute best soy milk. But to my knowledge, I am not aware of soybeans that have higher levels of, or substantially higher levels of micronutrients of one kind or another.
Great. One question is specifically about the hygienic part of the training, and what does that involve?
We provide a basic overview of hygiene. We, of course, stress that even though the 20 to 25 minute cooking process eliminates a lot of pathogens, that of course the containers used after production have to be cleaned either with very hot water or with diluted bleach solution to achieve again as close to sterile a level for the utensils and any containers that are used. And we also have a booklet on COVID safe hygiene for production and distribution of the foods. So that's available for those who are interested. I would also, just one other, I noticed a question about trypsin inhibitor. So soybeans, if they are uncooked, they have an element called trypsin inhibitor activity, which inhibits certain metabolic function in human beings. And that trypsin inhibitor activity is eliminated through cooking. So as long as the soybeans are cooked for at least 15 minutes, you eliminate at least 95% of this trypsin inhibitor activity, or TIA. So it's you would have a very small TIA level, as you would find in virtually any soy food that is at such a low level that it has no impact on human health.
Great, thank you for answering that. And let's talk a little bit about market push, market pull. When we're looking at the communities that you will be gearing this towards, or you're choosing what you're looking for, what sort of training or education is involved in markets? We discussed this culturally, but markets that may not have already present desire or market pull for soy milk. Is that something you look at? Is that something you handle?
Well, we've had a lot of different experiences in various countries in Africa. One experience I will relate is that we were doing a project in Eastern Liberia, which borders on Cote d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast. We started a soy milk enterprise. In this case, it was using a larger system called the Soy Cow in a small village in Eastern Liberia. And to our surprise, one of the biggest customer groups for the soy milk and the soy yogurt were a group of Ivorian refugees that were located nearby, that were used to a dairy culture with milk and yogurt, and they found the soy yogurt very, very appealing, and there was a high demand for it. So what we found is, whether there is a dairy culture or no dairy culture, we find a demand for some of the soy foods, whether it's the tofu or what is often referred to in Africa as soy kebabs. You can make, in Southern Africa, they like sour milk, or what we know in the West as buttermilk. That can be made also with soy milk. So there's such a broad variety, sweet yogurts, savory yogurts, again, local flavorings. We found there's always, several products that have appeal in the local market, either because they're similar to foods that they've consumed, or there's a flavoring or something that attracts them. And again, the lower price for that equivalent protein, it inspires people to try the foods.
Great. We've got about 3 minutes left. So I'm going to combine two questions here, and that has to do with meeting demand for products that are developed. So are the women entrepreneurs able to sell all of their product? And maybe if not, what storage solutions exist, if any?
Sorry, can you just repeat that question? I was distracted reading some of them.
No problem. So I'm combining the last two questions here in regards to, is there enough demand for these women entrepreneurs to sell all of their product? And if not, what is there a viable way to store unsold product?
Right. Excuse me. I'll just relate another experience that we had with this new entrepreneur in Western Kenya, Maresa. about a week after she got her training, she made some yogurt. And again, you can make drinkable yogurt, you can make firm yogurt. And she was making this drinkable yogurt, and basically her comment was, "Shut up." The people just kept drinking that soy yogurt until there was none left. So, I mean, she sold out. There was a really high demand. So again, we typically find, and again, it doesn't always happen instantly. When you start any business, and even this, SoyaKit micro enterprise, we choose the candidates based on their motivation. Like any business owner, it helps to be persistent, creative, in order to find markets, and preferably to find multiple markets, so that you're not dependent on one demographic with one product. It's good to have different products available, just to diversify the revenue base. But again, it doesn't always happen instantly. It doesn't always happen easily. But with a bit of persistence and creativity, we find the entrepreneurs can be successful and be profitable.
Thank you so much, Hart. Thank you, everyone, for submitting your questions, for attending today. We know that there are so many webinars going on right now, and we thank you for choosing ours to attend today. And more housekeeping, we will send you the slides. We will send you some more materials on SoyaKit, Malnutrition Matters, IFDC, and 2Scale. All registered attendees will receive this automatically. So we thank you again for joining us this morning, and we hope that this has been a great kickoff to the pre-summit for you. Thanks again, and thank you again, Hart and Caroline, for your leading this discussion.
And yeah, thank you very much, James, for coordinating. Great job. I do notice there's a couple of questions that haven't been answered. I'll try to answer them after the fact with specific individual follow-ups.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Hart.
Yeah, thanks,
Thanks
Caroline.
again, everyone.